What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to the channel, guys, where we're turning your waiver wire scraps into victory laps, guys. Every single player I'm covering today is sitting below 45% rostered on Sleeper, which means they should be available in most of your leagues, guys. So, quick reminder, teams on bye this week. We got Falcons, Bears, Packers, Steelers. So you might have some roster spots opening up, plus all the wide receiver injuries that happened this past week. So perfect time to strike on these pickups, guys. Just Monday Night Football is almost over. Just some quick thoughts I'm thinking right now. Cincinnati Bengals, what are we doing, man? You are absolutely wasting Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins. Burrow's your guy. I get it. But do something at the quarterback position. Trade T. Higgins for somebody. I don't know. What is Andy Dalton doing right now? Sign somebody else. Browning isn't the guy. Your division's not that good. Go out and get a quarterback. I wish you could get quarterbacks I have on this list. Trade somebody. I don't know what you got to do, but you are squandering this opportunity. You got to make a move, guys. You absolutely have to make a move. I know it's the Browns, but maybe try to trade Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what you have to do. Figure out a way to get a quarterback. Enough with the rant. Let's dive right into quarterbacks, guys, where we're trying to strike gold. Hiking off the quarterbacks, guys. Ready, set, hike. There we go. As Jackson Dart would do, hike the ball. Quarterback streaming game, guys. All about matchups, opportunity. Got some interesting options this week that could save your week. Sam Darnold, 28% rostered. Facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sam Darnold completed 18 of 26 passes for 242 yards and a touchdown in the Seahawks' 23-20 win over the Cardinals. He even had a 24-yard run in that game on the ground. So he's just playing clean football, super efficient. Seahawks are a 3-1 start. Fantasy upside is a little limited with how much they run the ball. They're very run-heavy, guys. But at the very least, low-end QB2. But in this game with Tampa Bay and their defense, it maybe could be a shootout, guys. So maybe this is the week that Sam Darnold breaks out. Don't hate this spot for him. Matt Stafford, 41% rostered, hosting the 49ers. Basically a glorified home game. If you know anything about the Rams, me living here in California, there is going to be just as many, if not more, 49er fans in that game. Stafford coming off his best game of the season, logging season high in passing yards, touchdowns, on his way to beating the undefeated. Are the Colts undefeated? I need to check. I'm pretty sure they were undefeated. So if you had Stanford, he was able to feed Puka, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell with that big catch. So now 49ers are tough on quarterbacks, guys. I'm not going to lie. They're only allowing 13.7 fantasy points per game to position. But let's just look at who they've dealt with recently, okay? They have dealt with Kyler Murray, who had Marvin Harrison Jr., who could not catch a cold in that game, and Trevor Lawrence. So I don't hate this spot for Stafford. I think he's trending in the right direction with his weapons. They're all healthy. So at the very least, short-term solution for Matt Stafford here, guys. All right, next on the list, I got Jackson Dart, 35% rostered, traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Saints are the fifth best matchup for opposing quarterbacks right now. I'd feel way better if he had Malik Neighbors, guys. But Dart used his legs to beat Chicago last week. So a little bit of a dual threat guy if you can get the passing game going. If you're desperate for a streamer, guys, Dart could get you through the week. Over the last two seasons, guys, only other quarterbacks with 10 or more carries in a game, excluding kneel downs for 50-plus yards and at least one touchdown a game, are Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Fields. Those players all are top 4 fantasy quarterbacks, and Fields historically has been at least a top 10 option when healthy. If you're looking for just a rat's prayer at the quarterback position, guys, we got Bryce Young, 20% rostered, playing against the Miami Dolphins. Look, I'm putting this there because he's available and facing Miami, but this is truly a desperation play. If you are in a tough spot, I feel for you, but sometimes you just got to take the shot. So before we jump into running backs, guys, do me a massive favor, smash that like button and subscribe for fantasy football all year round, guys, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a pickup. You never miss a matchup. Jordan had some nice sleepers, in this last one. We nailed our picks. So Thursday, got our start, sit, show, sleepers. And then Thursday night, 9 p.m. Pacific time, we'll be having another live. Those are a lot of fun, a lot of start sit questions, favorite prop plays. Head over to the live. Subscribe, guys. It'll really help us out. Gonna be giving out some of these fantasy football dudes script hats. It's a clean hat there. Go over there. Pretty easy to enter. All you got to do is subscribe. Send us a screenshot to our email at TFFDudes. Show us that you are subscribed with a screenshot, and I'll send you a hat. That simple. Doesn't cost you a dime. All right, running backs. The place where, you can win your league right here. The Wild West of fantasy, some might say. This week, we've got Jordan's Sleeper of the Week, guys. If you would have been subscribed and listened on Thursday, you could have picked up Woody Marks last week and even started him. 37% rostered, giving away some hats to some guys who started him and proved it on X, guys. There was only a few of you that did it. So 37% rostered at the Baltimore Ravens. Jordan's Sleeper of the Week. And now, guys, he's playing the Ravens. And this isn't your dad's Baltimore Ravens defense anymore. The Ravens are the number one fantasy matchup for running backs, giving up 30.8 fantasy points per game to the running back position and 116 rushing yards per game. Woody Marks is that running back we've kind of been waiting for this fantasy football season. After touching the ball just 14 times combined across the Texans' first 3 games, guys, Marks went off against Tennessee, set a season high in snap share at 56%. With 21 touches and total yards with 119. Plus, he scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, put the game away. Marks ended the day with more carries, more yards per carry, more receiving production, and more touchdowns. The rookie has generally been more effective runner this season than Nick Chubb at 2.8 yards after contact, whereas Chubb is 2.2 yards per carry after contact. Coach D'Amico Ryan said he's excited to see how much more Marks can handle going forward. Marks held up well in the pass protection too, which is huge for keeping him on the field, especially with how bad that Texans offensive line is. So shaping up to be the leader of the Houston backfield, guys. Nick Chubb's been averaging 4 yards per carry on 47 rushing attempts. So he hasn't done a lot to lose the job, but Marks is just noticeably better, more explosive with the ball in his hands, and Marks ended the day with more carries. He looked good, guys. I think we need to spend some fab on Woody Marks here, guys. Like, he's not for sure the guy now, but he's trending to be the guy. All right, running backs. Keandre Miller. This is my running back stashes and streams. 7% rostered versus the New York Giants. Kamara's getting up there in age. And Keandre should definitely be rostered. Maybe he breaks off a long one versus this Giants defense that isn't great against the run. Not telling you to play him. Miller needs to be rostered, though. Brashad Smith, 6% rostered, going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Smith carried the ball 4 times for 9 yards and added 3 catches for 27 yards on 4 targets last week. His 17-yard reception showed some versatility, but he was inefficient on the ground with just 2.3 yards per carry. The Chiefs found ways to involve him in the passing game, but, Smith's still clearly behind Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. But let's remember, Xavier Worthy did lead this team in rushing yards this game. So this is wide open. Definitely a bench stash in redraft and dynasty leagues. All right, another one. Kenneth Walker, 43% owned on bye. Back-to-back games with at least 9 fantasy points. Another stash play. He's involved in this offense. So if you got the bench space, keep him. Warren is Warren. And Caleb Johnson's just not looking too hot. So quick timeout, guys, before we dive into the wide receivers. Let me tell you about today's sponsor, Sleeper Picks. You know that feeling when you know a player's going off? Well, now you can trust your gut feeling with Sleeper Picks. You pick more or less on player stats, rushing yards, passing touchdowns, catches, you name it. Stack anywhere from 2 to 8 picks and get them all right. You can win up to 100x your money, guys. That easy. Just enter promo code DUDES100 and they'll match you up to $100. No rosters to manage, no lineup stress, just you versus the numbers, guys. It's that simple. Free money to play with the people. All right. Notable wide receiver injuries this week, guys. Like I threw, so he's going to wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Cedric Tillman, and Calvin Austin. Tyreek Hill got injured on Monday Night Football. So you might be looking for some wide receiver help. Plus, all the teams are on bye. So wide receivers, it's in deep position in fantasy. I got Darius Slayton, 5% rostered at New Orleans. Here's something fantasy managers seem to forget, guys. Sometimes a backup quarterback's chemistry with the wide receiver 2 or 3 is better than it is with the number 1 guy. Slayton's workload should increase with Jackson Dart under center. Slayton should be added in all fantasy leagues with 12 or more teams ahead of a favorable week 5 matchup against the Saints. Saints have been getting torched through the air, and Slayton has the speed to take advantage. Next, Jalen Tolbert, 16% rostered, going to New York to take on the Jets. Tolbert caught 4 of 6 targets for 61 yards in Sunday's 40-40 tie with the Green Bay Packers. How have the Cowboys not fired their clock manager yet? And I agree with Jerry Jones. They should have at least ran the time off so the NFL could go back and review if there should be a second left. You always run that clock off. That's why you're the home team. All right. Tolbert stepped up after the Cowboys lost CeeDee Lamb to an ankle injury. He finished with a solid 61 yards on the night, which didn't lead to a huge fantasy total, but he did help the team in real life. Look, probably unlikely to start, guys. But with CeeDee Lamb out and how bad the Cowboys defense is, maybe just roll him out there in a deep league. I don't hate it. All right, this one's gross. Plug your nose, maybe plug your ears, maybe fast forward. I got AD Mitchell, 4% owned, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. AD made some bonehead plays, guys. Absolutely won't argue that. But if he doesn't fumble that ball out of bounds at the end of the end zone, all the people be talking about that crazy one-handed sticky hand he has right there. Plus, that's 6 more fantasy points, putting him at 15 fantasy points against the Rams. And I don't even know if he was definitely showboating a little bit, but it was almost like he just was switching hands and just fumbled it. Like something I do with my phone every once in a while, whatever. But I'm not an NFL receiver, nowhere near it. But I'm not saying start him, guys, but I think we could be starting something here. Colts spent high draft capital on him, and talent usually wins out at the wide receiver position. So let's just wait for him to get a little more consistent before we thrust him into our lineups. This is just a dynasty stash for those very deep leagues or a very long dart throw. Troy Franklin, 45% rostered at Philly. They're going to probably have to throw the ball in this game, guys. Troy Franklin, number 2 wide receiver in Denver. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Tight ends, our goal is to stay above 0 points. It's a minefield out there, but there was a Tyreek Hill injury on Monday Night Football, and Darren Waller is no longer a rapper, and he's no longer hurt. He's playing for the Dolphins, and he's 10% rostered, taking on the Carolina Panthers. Welcome back from the rap game. 2 TDs on Monday Night Football. Tyreek Hill's injury didn't look good, regardless of his smile. Like Fantasy Dad said, he looked happier than I did waking up this morning to get out of bed for work. He should miss some time. Could be a smash spot for Darren Waller. Tua's got to throw it to someone. I know Tua hasn't been great, but just look for that, big tight end going over the middle. Like I can't believe I'm saying Darren Waller here, but he could be a very good tight end fill-in, guys. Like he's done it before. He looked good. Just someone for the Dolphins are last in the NFL in running the ball in the red zone. He's going to look for Darren Waller in the red zone, guys. Like 10% rostered. There's way worse you could do at the tight end position. Cade Otton, 11% rostered. Going to Seattle, playing the Seahawks. Otton has been underwhelming this year. I will not argue that. But I think Mike Evans is still out. So the target should be there. They got to go somewhere. Seattle's been giving up a little bit of production of tight ends over the middle of the field. So I don't hate Otton here, guys. And then Theo Johnson, 5% rostered, going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Giants tight end led the team in targets last week with Jackson Dart at quarterback. Should continue to look his way. Dart loves his tight end, and Johnson has the size, athleticism to be a red zone threat. Saints have struggled against tight ends this season, giving up multiple touchdowns to position. Johnson is a sneaky play if you're desperate, like most guys are at tight end. Jake Tonges, 5% roster at the Rams, caught 3 of 5 targets for 58 yards and a touchdown in the 49ers 26-21 loss against the Jaguars. He hauled in one of the 2 touchdown passes thrown by Brock Purdy. As long as Kittle's out, I think we can throw him out there. And I really need to do some research on how to pronounce this guy's last name because I want to say Tongues, and I don't think that's it, guys. So final thoughts here. Wrapping this thing up, ranking these pickups, must add, I think, Woody Marks. Strong picks, Matt Stafford, Darius Slayton, and Darren Waller. Stashes and dart throws, I got Rashad Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, AD Mitchell, and Jalen Tolbert. Guys, remember, waiver wire success isn't just about this week. It's about building for those playoffs. Woody Marks could be that league winner you've just been searching for, especially with that matchup against Baltimore's run defense. That's your week 5 waiver wires, guys. We will see you on Thursday for our matchup show. Then later that night, we got our live, guys. Don't miss it. Hope to see you there. Until next time, guys, take care.